Let's have a closer look at what is waiting for us this weekend in Monza. As always, there are quite some interesting updates we should talk about. Let's start with Red Bull. They already introduced a new engine in Spa, also a high-speed track, and added an interesting and very smooth blister to their bodywork. Mercedes would have done this the shrink-wrap way. So, although this blister should be there because of the new engine, it starts suspiciously high at the headrest above the side pods, and is leading down to the rearwards facing suspension opening. So it also creates an additional air path to this outlet that is pointing at the beam wing. Wouldn't be the first time someone designed something to hide its purpose. But Monza is all about high speed and skinny wings. The Red Bull rear wing is not as skinny as in the past, because with their engine and floor concept, they have a top speed advantage, hence can run larger wings and still have good top speed. And that also saves money they can spend somewhere else. We see their familiar wing with two option flaps, a long one and a cut one, both without gurney. One thing to keep in mind is you want downforce from a rear wing, which means it should be as straight as possible. Angled sections create side force and hence less downforce. Additionally, a straight wing also makes it easier to get your slot gap right. So Red Bull shows us a nice example of a clean wing here. Ferrari needs to do more to reach good top speeds and wants to perform well in front of their home crowd. So they brought a skinny low downforce wing we could already see in Spa as well. That is expensive because they need new mainplane, flap, pillars, DRS and tips, but for Ferrari it's worth it. Let's see how other teams did this. At Mercedes, we can see how a fan is cooling components in the keel area we talked about in my recent video. And Alpine brought their smooth low downforce wing from Spa as well, just like Ferrari. Also, they use a small gurney. McLaren show us their unique rear suspension and their battery that is usually hidden underneath the fuel tank. Alfa Romeo gave us some great insights, starting with a clean flow vis on their beam wings, followed by the Ferrari engine. We can see their unique split inlet, the chassis mounting points and the camshaft positions. You can see how the package stays as tight as possible at the top and flares open in the large side pods. Alfa brought an even skinnier straight wing than in Spa and is cutting the flap again for lower drag. They don't use a gurney, and the mounting points shape in the corner shows you the amounts of outwash these wings already create. And now let's talk about this. How could this Frankenstein wing happen? Aston Martin used a traditional spoon wing for Spa, so they could use their higher downforce wing parts in the center and low downforce parts at the sides. Since it's not straight, it's not as efficient as a straight wing, but not far off and much cheaper and faster to make. Now for Monza they took the same center and same tips, but tried to make it an even lower downforce wing. In this picture you can actually see their design planes. One is here, one here, and one here. The problem with this is that it's not a straight wing, so less efficient, and from a design point of view, you don't have control over the sections between the design planes. So that makes it harder to get your slot gap right. That, on the other hand, can create strange velocity distributions on the suction side, and all that takes longer time to develop. So a straight wing is always the better option. And on top of that, you need to make a new mainplane and new flap anyway. So that raises the question, why didn't they design a low downforce wing for Spa and Monza like Ferrari and Alpine did? And just play with different gurneys and chopping off trailing edges to get the setup right. Of course, they would have needed a new pillar and DRS for that, but considering what they did now, maybe that would have been the faster and cheaper option. But Aston traditionally designs more different rear wings for a season than other teams. And now it seems like they need to get the downforce level up again, and they stick the largest gurney flap on it they have. So let's see how that's working out this weekend. Williams simply used their skinnier wing and chopped the trailing edge and removed the gurney, similar to Ferrari and Alpine. And Haas used the most straightforward way again. They took their high downforce wing and chopped the flap. So I hope you liked this little insight and see you at the next video.